Well, I suppose that does explain a lot, I replied, as we continued to stare each other down, the endless, swirling waters surrounding us in every direction. Well, I suppose that really only leaves one thing to say. Yeah? And what's that? Hydra Shock replied. Well, really, it's got nothing to do with our fight. It's just I wanted to correct you. Vampires are real. Middle of a high-tense exchange, and you still find time to crack a joke, Hydra Shock replied. Actually, I'm 100% serious, guy. That's not a joke. Just met a vampire recently. She cut my arm off. It was unpleasant. Quite frankly, I think the one that I faced stands among the most terrifying of them. But still, it's no good. I'd advise avoiding them. Holy crap, you're serious, Hydra Shock replied with a curious expression on his face. Well, thanks for the info. Definitely gotta add that to the list of holy shit. Vampires are a thing. Oh, and Heavy Metal Knight. I don't know why, but for some reason, I like your style. I mean, I'm still gonna beat the snot out of you. But if by some miracle, you manage to survive and make it out of here, and I manage to break that little twit Becky's control, I hope I'll see you again. Maybe on different terms. Yeah, I replied. For some reason, I'm getting that same sort of feeling. One more question. You said a man is nothing without his dreams. You said you dealing with the Black Dog Syndicate so you can achieve your own. So, what is it that you want? What's your dream? What is it that drives you? Well, Hydra Shock replied, I suppose there's no harm in telling you. Once all the dust settles on this, what I want, more than anything, is really just something to call my own. A home for me and my family. Some land out by the sea. Maybe a few fishing boats. My family have been sailors for generations, so I've always been comfortable out on the water. I don't need to own everything in the world. Just enough for me and mine. Some healthy farmland and a nice ocean view. That's really all a real man could ask for. Why am I not surprised? I replied. All this power, and all you really want, is some land with a sea view. You're not even greedy. You know, I'm having a hard time disliking you, which is sort of a problem considering that you're on the opposite side of things. But I suppose it is what it is. But hopefully someday it can change. Until then, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to kick your ass, I exclaimed, as the battle recommenced. My wings sprung out as I bolted in his direction through the air, flying like a rocket, twisting and turning through the swirls of water that ebbed in every direction. This entire thing just felt like an adrenaline rush. This was supposed to be a life or death fight, but for some reason, I was actually enjoying myself. I could feel myself smiling under my helmet as I weaved through the torrents of water, forming another barrage of liquid steel shots, hurtling them out in a scatter shot as Hydra Shock once again rapidly evaded, disappearing into one of those funnels of water and re-emerging from the liquid ceiling overhead as he summoned another torrent of water like a controlled tornado of liquid, forcing it out in my direction, abiding his will. There was something about the way that he fought. He didn't strike me as any sort of trained martial artist, but then again, neither was I. There was something primal about it, something natural, as if this whole thing came naturally to him. I had plenty of questions. For example, how exactly did he manage to pull this much power? Was he really doing all of this with telekinetic energy? How? Stay on guard, Keven, I heard Nylea's voice utter into my head as I continued to fight Hydra Shock. I've been trying to get a read on him since we first started fighting. His powers go way beyond what they should. I've seen several bloodlines of symbiote that manipulate water in different ways. I've even managed to pinpoint which his is. However, the power he exhibits is far beyond what it was. None of the previous bearers of that ability that I've come in contact with have ever had this extent of ability. Okay, I said, as I summoned a barrier, blocking off another torrent of water slamming into me from the side. The water slamming into the barrier, spreading out by the hundreds of gallons. I was soaked to the bone, and yet I still felt hot, like my body was burning up. I was in constant motion. So what the hell is going on with this guy's power? Why is he so much stronger than all the other bearers? I mean, he did get that booster shot from his girlfriend. Yes, that no doubt is having its own effect, increasing his power even more. But it goes beyond that, Keven, Nylea replied. There's no doubt of it now. He's a key user. A key user? What the hell is that? I exclaimed into my head as I continued to go back and forth with Hydra Shock. Him summoning a massive sphere of ice, hurtling it at me. As I bolted that direction, sending my body into a spin, the chains around me forming into a circular blade that stretched out around my midsection, me hovering in the center as it span wildly on the outside. As I cut my way through the boulder, the two pieces smashing to the ground, stone and water upheaving in every direction as they smashed into the bottom surface. Keven, you must understand that we symbiotes, like all organisms, evolve and grow, adapt and change. Our abilities are developed over generations, but every so often, we take a jump forward. Our abilities develop, grow, become stronger, or change in some way that makes them more powerful than they were before. This usually happens with those who bond to hatchlings. It is highly uncommon when dealing with a fully adult symbiote that inhabits a host. While we are hatchlings, we are able to absorb small amounts of genetic code from those that we are seeded into. This is one of the measures by which we adapt and change, along with the species that we bond ourselves to. There are countless genetic variations in any species, so it's always a game of long odds. But every once in a while, despite the vast odds against it, a symbiote is bonded to a key user, someone who possesses a telekinetic wavelength and a specific set of genetic sequences that is exactly right, containing the perfect alignment to bond with a symbiote and to enhance the abilities that it already possesses, pushing them to the next level by allowing them to add in specific segments of code. Genetically, this mixture of a unique telepathic wavelength and unique genetic alignment forms a key user. Whenever a symbiote finds a key user, their bloodline takes a jump forward in ability, and there's no telling what the results could be. In this case, the symbiote seems to have taken a massive jump in abilities. The amount of telekinetic control they are able to yield over the water has increased 5-fold at minimum, most likely closer to 10. It's hard to judge, given that he is receiving amplification from that woman, so I can't be exact on how much, but they have definitely greatly increased the bloodline strength of that symbiote. Wow, well that's pretty damn impressive, I said as I beat my wings, trying to hold my place in air, looking for Hydra Shock, somewhere mixed in with this endless torrent of water in all directions. Now the only question remains, how the hell to beat him? Quite frankly, Keven, you're limiting yourself too much. There are other assets you could use in this fight. No, I'm not doing that, Nylea, I replied in my head. as my eyes continued to dart about looking for him. I know it might increase my chances. I might be able to pull a win. But this guy is fighting me straight up. He's got character, honor, even if I could win that way. I know it's a bit selfish, but I don't want to. If I'm gonna beat him, I want to beat him in a straight-out fight. No tricks. What is it with males? They're always like this, Nylea said, feeling a bit disgruntled, as I could almost sense the sigh in her mind.